Apple Valley was synonymous with talent and greatness for boys basketball. Now the girls hope to stake a claim on the court. They'll have another chance to do so tonight as we present high school girls basketball. The 9-4 Apple Valley Eagles host the 7-6 Minnetonka Skippers. Greetings, everyone. I'm Mike Peden alongside Erik Jimson. Normally, Erik's partner Jessica January would be here, but she's off making the big bucks in Finland. Or maybe you just got sick of her.
No, she's doing her thing. We wish her the best of luck out there in Finland. Jessica's passionate about basketball, so chasing some of her other dreams, but I'm here holding it down in Apple Valley for her.
And Jessica's birthday is in a couple of days, so happy early birthday, Jessica, and we'll always have a mic when you come back. Now, Apple Valley, Minnetonka. The Eagles coming off a big win over Lakeville North, one of the perennials in Section 1 and the South Suburban Conference. That is a big win for a school hoping to dethrone the Eastview supremacy in Section 3.
Well, anytime you can go up toe-to-toe with foes that you think are ahead of you, or teams that you have your sights set on, that it gives you a lot of confidence going forward. And I'm sure these girls will want to continue to build on that victory and make sure they just stay in the flow that they're in and go out here and get another win tonight versus another high-powered team.
Now, an interesting footnote with this Apple Valley team, they're led by Mykel Parham, the Creighton commit. Usually, when you have a D1 commit on your roster, she's the leading scorer, rebounder, or assists. Mykel isn't even averaging 10 points a game, but that's not a big deal because of folks like Kalina Myers, China Young, and Megan Bear.
Well, if you're a coach, you got to tell your star player she's still the best player on the team, but she's probably getting a lot of double teams, seeing a lot of different coverages. It's her job to still be a good facilitator, take her scoring opportunities when they're there and help these other girls come along. And the better you'll be a better team if you can rely on more than just one person. You never want to just put all your eggs in one basket. The best teams have multiple scorers, multiple facilitators, rebounders they can go to. So it's a good job by them of sharing the wealth and everybody's starting to shine.
And for Minnetonka, a young team, you may remember their greatness when they won the 4A state championship in 2016 with the likes of Courtney Fredrickson and Lizzie Odegaard. They're rebuilding with a really young core, but they have a couple of great pieces you'll hear about in the years to come. Sophie Layden and Desiree Ware.
Yeah, bright future ahead for Minnetonka. A couple of young girls getting a lot of experience and getting used to this varsity basketball and what it takes to win on this level. So they should have a bright future going forward. Sophie has been putting up big double-doubles recently in the stretch here. And, you always like to see that, a workhorse that can go out there and get double-digit rebounds, double-digit points, something you can rely upon, a foundation to build upon. And then a couple other young players alongside of her. As long as they just continue to stay together, keep that unity, they should have a lot to look forward to here going forward.
We'll have a lot to look forward to as these two teams hope to establish a bright future. We'll come back for the starting lineups. This is high school girls basketball.
If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, Patreon is the place. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage.
Welcome back to Apple Valley High School. Erik, it's hard to mention Apple Valley without referencing the Jones brothers and what they did here, winning 3 state championships in 5 years, coming within a point of a fourth with Tyus and Trey. Tyus, I don't remember where he ended up. Do you have an idea?
Oh, yeah. I think he plays for some team near here, the Minnesota Timberwolves or something like that. I'm not sure.
I think I remember that now. And his brother followed Tyus as far as the college route, having a sensational season at Duke. We'll see if he ends up going the one-and-done route like his brother. But I remember folks thinking Trey was just Tyus' little brother. And you remember all the hoopla with Tyus and the phenomenal player he was. We might have underestimated Trey.
I tell you, speaking of Trey, I watched him take on Florida State earlier today in a big ACC matchup. And I'll tell you, he's definitely going to make his own path. He can play. Guy is athletic, has great hands on defense. He has good control, good feel for the game. And a little fun fact, he has a better assist-to-turnover ratio than his brother had through his first 14 college games. So a little friendly family competition going on there.
And his brother was named Most Outstanding Player of the Final Four the year Duke beats. Who was it that they beat?
Well, they ended up playing Wisconsin in the final.
Wisconsin. So. I remember that. I knew it was Wisconsin, just on the tip of my tongue. And I understand there is a little sister, so even though there are no more Jones brothers, Apple Valley might get another bona fide athlete in the girls' ranks in the coming years.
Pretty soon, Apple Valley's going to have to start paying the Jones parents all the genetics they've sent through here.
Oh, I think they're well set. I don't think they don't need any money anymore.
Yeah.
But of course, this venue, the site of many high-profile games, ESPN came out here twice. Once with Apple Valley and Whitney Young, and another time with Minnetonka. And a little different now, where the gym is more open. It feels more like a normal game.
Yeah, I mean, there was hardly standing room for those games.
And you and I, we've seen our share of those, but it was always something special. And we've got some special players tonight. As we noted, Apple Valley, they have a real good chance to knock off Eastview. The two teams met already. Apple Valley lost by 2. It was close. Eastview having a bit of a down year by their standards, although they still have plenty of athletes and plenty of talent in their ranks. But Eastview, they've been to state year after year in Section 3. Apple Valley looking to knock them off, perhaps.
Yeah, Eastview they have the target on their backs. I mean, Apple Valley is one of those teams with their sights set on Eastview. Apple Valley has some pristine talent, so if they just put it together over these next few weeks and months before they try to get on a run for the state tournament, they can maybe give it a go and knock them off. We'll see.
Let's take a look at the starters for the visiting Minnetonka Skippers. It's Desiree Ware, the transfer from Maranatha, number 3. Katie Liza, number 12. Blake Greer, one of the veterans, number 22. Piper Terry, number 32. And Sophie Hayden, the double-double threat, number 33. Minor change to Apple Valley starters since the last time we saw them on SEC. Jocelyn Nyblom taking the place of Anna Much. Anna's been out the last couple of games. Followed by China Young, number 20. Megan Bear, number 25. Kalina Myers, number 32. And Mykel Parham, the Creighton commit, number 40. Mykel Parham, a multi-sport athlete, also takes part in track for the Eagles. And long before Apple Valley became notorious for basketball, they have a historic wrestling program.
Oh yeah,
I mean historic.
Yeah, I heard about that in my days during high school from contemporaries of mine that were wrestlers, and they just raved about this Apple Valley wrestling program. I mean, it's just dominance. I mean, it's kind of, I know this is a little bit of a odd comparison. It's kind of like the Undertaker in WWE in some way, man. Just win every match. Like they had a lot of great wrestlers come through here, so this school has a lot of pride just in sports in general, so they get it done.
I remember when there weren't any state tournament banners for basketball. It was all for wrestling until the 2013 Apple Valley team.
Yeah, they've filled it up a little bit, trying to basketball team doing their part to continue the storied tradition of the athletics here at the school.
Well, there's plenty of it. That's probably the closest I'll ever get to Tyus Jones in my life, unless I become a Wolves reporter. There's Blake Greer, a 3-point specialist for the Skippers. Rebound putback for Piper Terry. And as we noted, no standout scores on the part of Minnetonka, but they have a lot of balance. Piper Terry averaging 8.5 a game.
Yeah, Minnetonka looking to do it by committee, rely on one another, come with a balanced attack, and keep Apple Valley on its toes.
China Young scores on the other end for the Eagles. Apple Valley reached the section final in Section 3 last year, the first time in 13 years. They could not overcome Eastview, a team that was led by Megan Wallstad that year. And we're going to have an offensive foul. That is Tim Layton, the communications director for the Minnesota State High School League. Still takes part in officiating. Although, I was going to say he had to recuse himself from playoff matches to avoid any potential conflict of interest. But long before he joined the high school league, he was with the Pioneer Press for over 20 years and is still involved with the game as an official.
Yeah, so he's definitely been around the block. He knows what he's doing.
Most of the time. Yeah. And I can say that because he and I crossed paths many years when he was with the Pioneer Press. We covered the Minnesota Lynx and several of their state championship teams. That's a traveling violation on Blake Greer. Minnetonka playing on the back end of a back-to-back. They knocked off Moorhead last night, another team in a rebuilding phase after Sam Hybe graduated, playing D1 at Nebraska.
Big-time Big Ten basketball going on there.
A lot of athletes heading to the Big Ten, a lot of hoopers. Sarah Scalia, as you may know, from Stillwater, going to Minnesota. Covered her last night, knocked down 8 3-pointers when they beat Mounds View. If you get a chance, you should check out Stillwater one of these times. Sarah Scalia is really fun.
Yeah, especially if they got players knocking down 8 threes, and that's a show. That's a show to see.
And she can knock them down from about the volleyball line. Here's China Young with the steal, and she will leave it short. Yeah, you got to make those bunnies.
Yeah, those are opportunities you got to cash in on if you want to be this Alpha team. They want to get to be the team that they think they can be. You got to not have those opportunities go your way.
Here's Desiree Ware. She made an impact as an 8th grader at Maranatha. Her father's still the head coach of the boys basketball team, but the girls went through a coaching change, a change in ADs and a change in philosophy, and that may have played a hand in Desiree Ware switching schools. But Leah Dasovich, the longtime head coach of Minnetonka, said, what's nice about coaching a young team like this is that the future is bright. When she had that 2016 team that won state, she said it was a lot of fun, but a lot of pressure when you had 2 D1 recruits on that roster, Courtney Fredrickson and Lizzie Odegaard. Now you have some younger pieces who will be on this team for the next few years and a chance to build up the ranks again.
I'm sure Coach is excited. She'll get a chance to mold those younger players, and over the years they'll adopt her habits and system, the way she wants basketball to be played. And like you said, the future's bright going forward for this team. I mean, they have a coach that knows how to do it. They just got to buy into what she's preaching and stay in the gym, keep working hard, and they'll be able to get something done here.
And that's what we would call an incomplete pass. That'll bring up 3rd down and 8.
Yes.
I do that instinctively.
I mean, it's a little nice ode to got NFL playoffs going on today.
That's true. Tonight and tomorrow, and it happens sometimes. Sometimes you run a play, and I've seen it. Even last week, you get a player that may be a step above the others as far as instinct, talent, and sometimes it takes a while for the rest of the team to catch up. Yvonne Tensaye comes to mind at Concordia Academy.
Yeah,
and even Sarah Scalia until this last year or two.
Yeah, and a great player like that it's also their job to be a leader and help those other players around them get on their page and make sure they get on the same page and get that chemistry together.
Sophie Hayden with the steal. She lost it to Nyblom.
Both teams a little sloppy here so far. Tough to get offense going.
Well, it's not too often you play a Saturday night game. Weekend games are fairly common, but usually held during the day. This is a rare Saturday night contest that is usually reserved for section play or state tournaments.
Yeah, it may be tough for the young players to lock in here. They might have been thinking about what other plans they would have had on a nice Saturday night like this, coming back off a nice break here over the Christmas and whatnot.
3 on the way from Megan Bear. That's off the mark, and the rebound goes to number 20, Molly Ohm of Minnetonka. I wonder how many times, as Aaron Schumacher handles the ball, Minnetonka has been subjected to a Purple Rain reference. The waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah, I can imagine they've been hearing that for a long time.
And it only got worse after his death, I imagine. Mykel Parham with the O board, and she'll shoot 2.
Great job by Mykel, manufacturing a little bit of offense by crashing the glass. See if she can knock down a few free throws and get Apple Valley jump-started on offense here.
She did hit all 8 of them in a win over White Bear Lake. You had a chance to see her with Jessica January, that game on SEC. What impressed you most about someone like Parham, who, again, a D1 commit, but not the leading scorer?
Looks like she has a good feel for the game and a lot of patience. She was playing within the confines of the plays that were being called and the structure of her offense and how her coach wanted to play. She stayed patient and just took her opportunities when they were there. As we just saw her there, she is a solid rebounder. She has a nice frame, and she can get in position and create extra opportunities for her team.
A 6'2 forward, and Creighton is no slouch when it comes to women's hoops. They've recruited a lot of Minnesota athletes over the years. Marissa Janning from Watertown Mare, 2012 Miss Basketball. MC McGrory from Edina, just to name a couple.
Yeah, so she'll definitely have a lot to live up to when she gets out there, but it's up to her now to enjoy these last few months here of high school basketball and worry about Creighton when Creighton arrives. But I'm pretty sure she's excited for that opportunity. It's a big opportunity, and hopefully she can go out there and continue the success she's had here.
Well, I'll be there for you, at least if you're a Creighton fan. Sorry, you'll call a game with me, you're going to realize my mind runs off at about 10,000 places with pop culture references. Minnetonka calling the timeout. As you noted, kind of a sloppy start, and maybe that's why Leah Dasovich called a timeout, maybe to settle the Skippers down. Again, it's a young team, more freedom to teach, and she said even though there's some bumps, Minnetonka, they haven't faced Hopkins yet. I can't imagine that's going to be a whole lot of fun for the Skippers with Paige Beckers and all the other D1 athletes on that roster. But we've got a three on the way from Kalina Myers, and it's pure. To finish up on the Skippers, she likes the chemistry that's already built with this team, and that will go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you got to run into a team like Hopkins, that's a daunting task. They've been a powerhouse program on both men and women's for a long time, but like I said, these young players just can't get discouraged, believe in their coach's message, and try to stay together. And I mean, on any given night, anybody can take a game. So,
foul on Mykel Parham. That's her first. Free throws coming for Minnetonka. And Molly-Ome. 3.7 a game. Here's the thing with Minnetonka is, while you talked about Hopkins, the Skippers started the new trend. Everybody thought Hopkins, the girls, would just run through the tables without any difficulty with all the talent they had. And while they've reached the finals over the last 3 years, they've lost every time. Minnetonka in 2016, Elk River 2017, and last year to Eastview. So as daunting as the perennials like Hopkins are and Wayzata this year, kind of like UConn women's basketball, they're still talented, but other teams have figured out how to catch up to them, and that's made for some great 4A basketball here in Minnesota.
Yeah, and competition breeds excellence. It's always good for the game when there's competition. You never want to see one team just steamroll everybody. I mean, kind of lose interest. People lose interest in it a little bit. So it's been nice to see people, different challenges, step up and overcome. And I'm pretty sure to keep going and teams put their best foot forward.
Well, Hopkins, they're playing on a mission this year. I covered them back in November against Stillwater. They're not fooling around. I think Paige Becker, she has everything but that elusive state tournament title.
Yeah, she'll be on a mission to capture that before she has to depart.
Well, she has a couple more years to do it. Minnetonka had never won a state title until that 2016 team. Elbow J from Ome, that's off the mark, and the rebound goes to number 23. Eagles trying a fast break, and it doesn't quite work. Number 23 is Anna Much, so I guess Apple Valley making a change in their starters, putting Much off the bench, and Nyblom in the starting rotation. And there's Much with the steal. Parham, the skip inside, and you know what? Madison Reed ought to open up a bakery. You want to know why?
Why is that?
It was a sweet roll.
Also, beautiful pass off the high-low. Great ball moving by Apple Valley in the transition. Attacking before Minnetonka gets set and capitalizing on the opportunity.
A quick timeout, though, from Brian Doty and Apple Valley, even though they look like they're on a run. It seems unusual that the team with momentum would call a timeout, but as a coach and as a player, what would lead you to call a timeout and reset?
Well, I'm pretty sure he saw something that he didn't like within the last few possessions, even though they moved the ball well in the last possession there and it led to a bucket. He probably spotted something on the defensive end, so he wanted to speak to him before they got back out on defense, maybe tell him to tighten up a rotation here or there or a box out. You know, coaches have to be almost perfectionists so they can relay the message and the players can believe in the message. So I'm pretty sure it was a quick timeout. He gave a quick message of reassurance, and they're back out here on the floor ready to go.
And most coaches, they're perfectionists. They'll find something to worry about.
Definitely, you never want to let your players think that they've mastered the game or they're doing everything perfect. Then they become complacent and relaxed. You always want to stay on them. That's what the best coaches do.
High low for Minnetonka, and they cash in. Piper Terry. No, that was Hayden. Hard to read the numbers from up here and the font set. But that's Sophie Hayden with the bucket, averaging 10.1. Parham posts up and will shoot 2. And we'll get to see that patented free throw stroke of hers again. You don't see that too often out of 6'2s, at least in the basketball of yesteryear. It's more common now in the stretch 4, but that's going to be a great asset when she goes to Creighton.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can draw fouls at an elite rate, it's such a benefit for your team. You put the other team in foul trouble, and you make defenders play discipline, and because the referees, once you build up that reputation for drawing fouls, the referees will give you the benefit of the doubt. Kind of reminds me of James Harden. I mean, he's like the epitome of that, in the sense that he's figured out a way to manipulate the referees, and they know once he's barreling down the lane or anything.
The double dribble or the traveling, the double step back.
When you get 30, 35 million odd dollars, they let you get away with a little bit more here and
the
there,
double step back. Hey, that turned into a meme.
Yeah.
That was great. Well, the meme was, but it's the NBA. They never call traveling, right?
No, they know those guys know what they're doing, so they have a misstep here or there, it's an accident. They just let them go.
Yeah, let it go. Well, Piper Terry knows what she's doing. She'll have a chance at 3. Piper Terry, the 5'9 sophomore, one of those many young centerpieces for that Minnetonka team. But how about James Harden? I was watching the end of Rockets-Warriors last week, a game where Kevin Durant was able to save the ball out of bounds and not get called for it. But, as you know, ball don't lie. James Harden, I think he wants that title that has eluded him for so long.
Yeah, he's established himself as one of the greatest offensive players probably in the history of the league, and definitely in the modern era, especially as a guard. I mean, right now it's looking like he could be on his way to back-to-back MVPs, that puts you in rare air. But like you say, yeah, to truly become remembered as an all-time great, you got to capture that championship. So we'll see what he can do as the season wanes on and postseason arrives.
Megan Bear with the drive and the bucket for the Eagles. And remember, it took Michael Jordan 7 years to win his first title, so sometimes you got to be patient.
Yeah, takes time.
Minnetonka, bit of a sloppy exchange on the passing. And Minnetonka with the possession arrow, but you feel like that was a quality bucket or a quality chance they passed up because the pass was a little low.
Yes, something that's an underrated part of basketball, not just the ability to see the floor, but delivering the pass accurately. That's what separates the good passes from great passes. Hitting the teammate in stride and in position, giving them a chance to go right up with the shot.
Here is Blake Greer. Goes up, no good. We'll try again. The baseline J rims out. Rebound goes into the hands of Anna Much. Here is Megan Bear. Goes up and in once more. Well, nobody on Apple Valley has more than 4 points, but they've built a 15-8 lead.
They've done a good job here of turning rebounds into transition opportunities and getting out, converting a few times here to give themselves a minor cushion.
Pass deflected by China Young, and as a Lynx beat writer for the last 10 years, I'll be the first to tell you, Cheryl Reeve emphasizes that. I imagine a lot of coaches, even those deflections, can go a long way. Here's Desiree Ware. Almost pickpocketed. It will stay with Minnetonka. Desiree, as we noted, her father a basketball coach at Maranatha, and the boys team doing an outstanding job. They're back in the top 10 for the first time in several years. And Desiree Ware, she was known for her speed, her quickness, and her ability to run the floor, and she'll get a chance to continue doing so at Minnetonka.
And she'll have a chance to combine her athleticism with a lot of insight. Anytime you have a basketball coach as a parent, you're getting around-the-clock teaching going on.
Mykel Parham swats Katie Lysen's shot into the wall. And I don't know if Mykel's parents were basketball coaches, but seeing her at the White Bear Lake game, and even in this one, she may not score the most, but she's got a basketball mind.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to change the basketball game other than scoring. And she knows how to rebound, and she scores there, obviously, of course. But
I like how your ESP is working. Myers with the steal and the dime to Parham. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of ways to affect the basketball game. She can rebound the ball, protect the rim, which is always going to be a vital part in basketball. You got to keep teams out of the paint. I mean, yeah, she's no slouch scoring the ball. And when her opportunities come, as you saw there, she can finish over the top of people with a great size and length. So
Desiree Ware with a friendly bounce. She'll send a thank you card to the rim. But taking advantage of kind of some chaos down low, Apple Valley player took a fall. And we're going to have free throws as Megan Bear hits the hardwood.
She's relentless going to the basket. No fear.
Well, Megan Bear is the team's leading scorer at 14 a game. She picked up 26 against Lakeville North in perhaps one of Apple Valley's biggest wins in recent memory. It wasn't just a plain old victory, 79-55. And this is against a team that makes state almost every year out of Section 1. You remember the 2010 team that won the title with Cassie Rochelle and Rachel Bannum, but Lakeville North always in the mix. They're conference rivals, and that's a win that Apple Valley can use to boost their confidence.
Yeah, she was a part of making a statement that night. Anytime you come out and get 26 and they almost get 80 as a team, as they land on 79 against a tough rival, that's a statement to the rest of the league and around the conference that you're here to stay. So
not just any rival. And they play close with a lot of other teams this year. Eden Prairie in the top 10. We've got a 3 from Blake Greer. That bounces out. St. Michael Albertville, another top 10 team, lost by 4. So Apple Valley is right there. They just got to figure out how to get past that hump, but they can taste it. We're going to have a traveling violation on Parham. And that's something that was missing from them a year ago. They had a good year. They went 17-12, reached the section final, but this year it seems like the cohesion, the balance we spoke of, really coming together. And this might be the year where we might be talking about the Apple Valley girls after so many years of praising the boys and what they did.
Yeah, I mean, they've had the best teacher in life is experience in them going through a tough season. Not a tough season last year as far as their success, but they had a lot of tough games and they made it to the section finals, as you mentioned, and just trying to build on that foundation. Coming back here this year, a lot of returning players try to put it all together and make this run. I mean, they definitely have a chance.
Parham picks up her second foul. She might have to ride the bench for a little while, and free throws coming for Maliomi.
Yeah, in the game I covered earlier this year, she ran into early foul trouble as well. I mean, part of being a good shot blocker is you're going to take a lot of chances, to block shots, even sometimes when you shouldn't. And to become an absolutely elite shot blocker, those are the ones that can avoid foul trouble and stay on the floor because you can't protect the rim for your team sitting on the sideline. So.
Well, Maliomi missed both free throws, so I guess that was a good foul, right?
I mean, you can say that, but I mean, now
it's the running joke, yes, but right, she's on the bench, so you'd rather have her out there.
Right.
But the Eagles with an 18-10 lead with 7:11 left in the first half. Here's Jocelyn Neinblum. Neinblum, 5.6 points per game. Shiny Young, 7.6. Minnetonka, another team that reached the section final. They went to state a couple years in a row, and then last year lost to Prior Lake. What a move. Megan Bear, as you said, fearless in the lane. Couldn't get that one to drop. Minnetonka looking for the answer, and China Young swoops in for the interception. Eagles don't have the numbers to push. Bear.
She likes that spin move. Just got to get him to fall.
And Young again. Apple Valley's going to call a timeout. Again, maybe not liking the offensive efficiency or lack thereof, but China Young, she's everywhere. And as you know, if you make a mistake or if something doesn't go well, get back on defense, make a play. And I tell you, Apple Valley, it's kind of weird they've been calling timeouts when it seems like they're getting momentum on their side.
Yeah, I think their coach believed they should have a bigger lead here. I mean, they're forcing a lot of turnovers and playing great defense, holding the Skippers to 10 points, but to only be up 8 and now having one of your star players go out with foul trouble, I think he's a little bit worried that their sloppy play on offense could ignite a run for the Skippers. So he's called another timeout to settle them down here. And, yeah, all they need is a few baskets. They get on a roll here, man. This lead could balloon. And,
It could indeed.
Speaking of it, he puts Parham back in even with 2 fouls. I think he was a little worried about, like I said, Skipper's getting back in the game. So it's up to her to be smart and not to commit any silly fouls.
3 on the way. Bullseye. Kalina Myers left all alone on the inbound. Minnetonka forgot about her, and she made them pay. I was going to say the Skippers reached the section final last year in Section 2, but lost to Prior Lake. The team led by McKenna Hoffschild, who, as you may recall, scored 63 points in a game earlier this season, the all-time record in a single game.
That's remarkable, yeah. At any level, against any competition, anywhere in the world, if you can go out and get 63 points and you had a special day, that's tough to do.
And on top of that, she's 5'3".
Yeah, which makes it exponentially tougher.
Right, you have to go up against the trees most of the time.
Yeah.
And in her case, the trees are just about everyone else.
Right.
Skippers with the ball. This is number 15, Ella Murray. And more sloppy ball control here from Minnetonka.
Yeah, they're just eerily irresponsible so far with the basketball on offense. I mean, still sitting on 10 points, coming in on 5 minutes left in the half. Just not looking good at all with the execution.
And Minnetonka, as we said, this is part of the growing pain phase. You have to imagine in the next couple of years. Well, Desiree Ware will go to the line for 2. Folks like Ware, Layton, Piper Terry, they'll be part of a new rising core. So on the part of Hofstad, I guess we'll have to put in a plug for our buddy Jessica January. She knows a thing or two about that, putting up points when you're not the tallest figure on the floor.
You got to have a lot of confidence in your game and your abilities. I mean, because you're gonna be going into the lane. You're gonna be deterred a lot by a lot of girls that are bigger than you, but just having that determination and fearlessness to go in there and believe in the work you've put in. And any night can be your night. You can go out and get a 50 or 63, which is, that's tough. But.
Did you and Jess ever have any one-on-ones or any battles with each other?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've known her since probably going on about 15 years now. So we've played in her backyard and throughout the years, but I've always come out on the better side of those.
So you've always won those games.
Definitely.
I wonder if I asked Jessica if she would agree with that.
Yeah, even she might deny. she has a lot of pride, but
she might see it differently.
Yeah. End of the day, she knows where to find me. We can lace them up and get it going.
We should do that in the off season. We'll put you two together and we'll show the results the next time we do basketball next season. 3 on the way from the Eagles, and it's pure. It's Megan Bear. That puts her up to 8, and it's been slow but steady, but it looks like the Eagles are getting some separation here as they lead by 2 touchdowns.
Great job by Bear. Good inside-out attack. She's been diving to the rim hard and making tough plays in the paint, and sometimes that opens you up for people start to back up, and she gets a nice catch-and-shoot opportunity, knocks down a 3.
Parham chases down the rebound. Eagles looking for more. Now they back off. Nyblom. A shovel pass to Bear. They swing it around. Here's Anna Much. Sees a hole through the screen set by Parham. And another one of those point-blank layups. That's something Apple Valley would like to clean up. Now the Skippers on the run. High off the window and in for Katie Leisen. That is a 4-point swing.
Yeah, big time, especially for the Skippers as the lead starting to get out of hand. They get a fortunate bounce. Apple Valley misses the layup on one end. They get to come down the other way and try to convert the and one. I noticed Parham was tempted to go for a rebound on the offensive end, almost went over the back and would have been a 3rd foul in the first half. So just got to be a little bit more cognizant of her instincts and make sure she doesn't play too aggressive down there and pick up a silly 3rd foul.
Well, she did pick up the steal there after deflecting the cross-court skip. 3:45 left in the first half. Here's Parham. No field goals yet. Squeezes through the hole and no good. Rebound, Katie Leisen. I take that back. Parham does have 1 field goal. I hope her parents don't hold that against me.
No, they'll be fine.
I've done worse.
Yeah, they have high expectations for her, so they'll tell her to just go out there and get a few more baskets.
Well, she did tip the rebound. That allows Apple Valley to leak out. Anna Much with her first field goal of the game.
I'm not sure if it's just the energy level or what, but Minnetonka's not getting back on defense. It's tough. I know off turnovers it's hard because just aren't set and the team is going the other way. But Apple Valley getting a lot of runouts and transition opportunity against the Skippers so far.
Anna Much through the lane again. She'll shoot 2. Anna Much started the year in the starting rotation and playing, certainly playing that number of minutes. I wonder if she missed a practice or maybe just felt like you needed to change things up. That happens in the sport of basketball, but Much playing like she did back in that White Bear Lake game.
Yeah, I mean, coach trusts in her. She'll get her minutes one way or another. She's got to make the most of them.
And the Eagles are pulling ahead. And Much used every part of the rim. Eagles 7 of 8 from the line. We mentioned Minnetonka. You know, they haven't played Hopkins yet. And they haven't played Wayzata yet either. They're number 1 and 2 in the 4A rankings. I can't imagine those will be easy games. In fact, Minnetonka, who turned it over, they'll face Hopkins and Wayzata on back-to-back games. They'll be a week apart, but that's quite the week of games there.
That'll be a rigorous stretch, a little 2-game stretch there, but you got to just go into those games with the utmost confidence. You know, everybody's expecting you to lose, but as long as you believe within the team and internally, I mean, anything can happen. Just go out there and try to play your game and give it your best shot.
And even if they're not able to, you know, those are 2 games where that's part of the growing phase. And when you have a young core, Apple Valley went through this as well. Sometimes you're going to take a lot of lumps before you get to the promised land. Free throws coming for Madison Reed.
Yeah, and that's particularly evident tonight. I mean, if a stranger who never watched the basketball game walked in here now and spotted this one, you could just tell, I mean, the experience level between these 2 teams is just vastly different. I mean, that's what I've noticed so far watching.
Well, they say graduation is the great equalizer in the sport of basketball. And even Hopkins, you know, they've gone through it where they lose some top-level talent. You know, Paige Beckers is there for a couple more years. Madison Reed got 1 of 2, stays with it, and gets a 3-point play in reverse.
Beautiful finish in traffic there for Madison Reed.
And this has the makings of a big runaway. Skippers go high-low, hesitation move, and Maliomi gets the friendly bounce. Kalina Myers can't put it in. 128 and counting. Desiree Ware sees a lane, attacks and scores. Minnetonka looking for a boost of momentum, and they just might be getting it here.
I like the attack there by Desiree Ware. A couple times now she's used that little mini Euro step to sidestep defenders and get all the way to the basket.
Brian Doty telling Megan Baer to back off. They may be holding for the final shot. This might bring back memories of Tartan St. Cloud Apollo last week when Tartan held onto the ball for 5 minutes. But Apollo didn't get out of that zone. I know there's been many discussions about a shot clock. Well, now Apple Valley runs their offense, and it paid off for Minnetonka, that is. They get the stop, have a chance to perhaps build a mini run here. That went off of Madison Reed. I know you didn't play without a shot clock. You also didn't have a restricted zone either, but you know, I have a feeling it's only a matter of time before Minnesota eventually adopts one. Wisconsin is getting one next year.
Yeah, I think this type of basketball with no shot clock is a bit antiquated. It's time to move forward. I mean, especially with the ultimate goal. I mean, you know, with these young ladies, if it's to play at a higher level or going forward, you know, any level they play at from here on out, they'll have a shot clock. They had a restricted area, which they added this year, but I mean, it's just time to, I feel like it's a little bit outdated. It's time to move forward. And yeah, and I feel like it'll make the game more free-flowing, more fun to watch as well. I mean, fans don't want to see a team hold the ball for 5 minutes without attempting a shot. So.
Well, Piper Terry moving Minnetonka forward on that last play for the Skippers with the three-pointer. Apple Valley trying to get a shot off. They do. And no buzzer beater. So Apple Valley leads by 12, but Minnetonka gets a 7-0 run to end the first half. And after they were blindsided by Apple Valley's press and some other miscues, that 7-0 run gets you a little bit of confidence, and that could be big heading into the second half.
Yeah, I want to say the Skippers are fortunate to be as close as they are. Like you said, they got that mini explosion at the end of the half to get that run and make the game a little tighter, but they could easily be down 18, 20 points here. Apple Valley had converted a few more plays, a couple blown layups that led to opportunities for the Skippers. So Skippers going to have to be on their toes coming out. I'm pretty sure Apple Valley can smell a little blood in the water. They're going to come out second half and just put their foot down and try to balloon this lead.
We'll be back for the second half when we return. This is high school girls basketball. Apple Valley leads Minnetonka 31-19.
If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, Patreon is the place. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage.
I'm Mike Peden. He is Erik Jimson, and this is high school girls basketball. Apple Valley and Minnetonka Saturday night edition. But as the saying goes, Saturday night's all right for hoops.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad atmosphere here tonight. We got a decent turnout. Nice feel here. Nothing like catching a Saturday night high school basketball game, and we're enjoying it.
Well, Apple Valley's certainly enjoying it, although Minnetonka looking to spoil the celebration. They ended the first half on a 7-0 run. Leading scorers for Apple Valley, Megan Bear with 8, Kalina Myers and Mykel Parham have 6. The Eagles spreading the ball around as they customarily do. Piper Terry leading the Skippers with 7 points. It seemed like shot selection and ball control, if Minnetonka could clean up one of those two things, they could make a run, make this a game.
Yeah, the number one thing for them, or the number one point of emphasis going into the second half should just be the turnovers. A lot of sloppy turnovers, miscues passing the ball. Try to clean that up, and then just getting back on defense. I know it's hard getting back once you turn the ball over, so that'll take care of itself and organically if they just clean up the turnovers. But yeah, just worry about those things and they should be fine.
Blake Greer knocks down her first tray of the game, and that makes it a 10-0 Minnetonka run, going back to the end of the first half. As the saying goes, basketball is a game of runs. Well, we'll see what the Eagles can do to respond. Megan Bear tries to spin move again and draws another foul. Something to keep an eye on the part of the skipper, Sophie Hayden, who avoids the foul there. But Hayden, the double-double threat for the Skippers, has 3 fouls, so that limited her productivity in the first half.
Yeah, if I'm Apple Valley head coach Brian Doughty, maybe you design a couple plays to try to attack her on the defensive end and force her to commit a foul she doesn't want to commit, and that might have her sit on the sidelines for a while.
Megan Bear splits at the line. Apple Valley 9 of 12, Minnetonka 2 of 7. And that's not what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was alluding to at the beginning of the half here, those just unforced errors passing the basketball. You just can't have them.
Just underway in the second half. Parham. Whoops.
Good idea there, just a little off target.
And she says, my bad, I'll do better next time. Well, even the best of them cough it up. And we've got free throws coming for Desiree Ware. Let's see who the foul's on for the Eagles.
Looks like Parham again.
Yep, that will be her third.
Eagle foul on Mykel Parham, her third, seats first.
Same thing goes for her. If you're Minnetonka, you maybe try to attack her a few times and generate that fourth foul. She's a little overzealous on the help. I she wants to be there for her team, helping on defense, but you can't be too overzealous and commit those fouls. She had significant size advantage there. Maybe she just went vertical and made her shoot over the top. That would have been good enough, but left her feet early and another foul was called.
And Ware knocks down both free throws, an 80% free throw shooter. And the Skippers making an 8-point game. The steal by the Skippers. They're trying to reset the offense. 3 on the way from Terry. That would have been big for the Skippers. And China Young boxes out Ware for the board. Young sees a hole, drives through it.
Great crossover.
A coast-to-coast play, and Nyblom was looking to catch Minnetonka off guard. So it's a 10-point game, 34-24. Eagles led by as much as 19.
That was a beautiful crossover move from China Young coming downhill. You don't see that too often.
Ware, the skip to Layden, got it. Hayden, I should say. I'm getting Peden and Lysen mixed up. Three ball. Much can't hit it from the corner. Scramble for the board, won by the Skippers, and they've got a clear lane to the bucket. Timeout, Apple Valley. Minnetonka making this a 6-point game. They trailed by as much as 19, but going back to the first half, a 16-3 run, and we've got a whole new game.
Yeah, they're right back in it. They've been able to kind of do role reversal. They're making Apple Valley look sloppy on offense and capitalizing off their mistakes. Also, a couple possessions ago, they get Parham in a 2-on-1 scenario, make the pass, and force her to have to make a decision. She couldn't be too aggressive and get easy layups at the rim now with their rim protector. Apple Valley's rim protector in foul trouble. So great job by the Skippers of being resilient and coming out of the locker room and going on, extending their run and getting back in the basketball game.
And Layden brings Hayden, I keep getting the two mixed up. Hayden brings an efficiency, extra possessions, and developing some consistency. Yeah, again, these are teams, these are players you're going to hear a lot about over the next few years. You know, Blake Greer's senior, so she'll be moving on after this year. But folks like Lysen Ware, Ware's a freshman, Lysen's a sophomore. Terry and Hayden are sophomores, so 4 of your starting 5 are likely going to come back next year, barring something weird.
Right. Yeah.
So that says a lot about the potential as this team chemistry grows, the cohesion develops, and we're getting a glimpse of that here. They're taking a respected Apple Valley team to task right now.
Yeah, if you're a fan of this Skippers team or you're their coaching staff, you definitely have a lot to be encouraged about from what you've seen at the start of the second half and the resiliency they've shown to jump back in this game.
And they're not done yet. Desiree Ware on the fast break.
It changed up the look a little bit here, gave them, it looks like a little bit of a 2-1-2 press, and they're making them turn the ball over.
No bucket that time. And even though it's a 4-point game, if Minnetonka scores on that one, you get a feeling they'd be energized even further.
Yeah, that would have been a minus blow on this extended run they've had. They would have cut the lead to 2, got it within 1 possession, but I mean, still they've cut it down to 4 and making Apple Valley work.
Minnetonka looking for another quality win to add to the resume. They do have a couple. They beat Chaska, who was a top 10 team back in December, and Waconia, a top 10 team in 3A. So they've picked up some big wins, but again, the lack of consistency can lead them to a big win, and then an inexplicable loss the next night. A win over Apple Valley would do wonders. And in Section 2, Eden Prairie looking much stronger than a year ago, same with Chaska, but that section isn't a one-sided one, an offensive foul, I believe, on Piper Terry. But Section 2, there are enough contenders out there that Minnetonka could sneak in, Prior Lake if McKenna Hofschild gets going. They're always in the thick of it. Eden Prairie having a much stronger year than a season ago, but they're second fiddle to the likes of Wayzata and Hopkins, so there's a good chance for a lot of teams to get out of Section 2 into state.
Yeah, parity is one of the most compelling things when it comes to sports. This gives the fans and the people that love the game, just keeps you engaged when when it's not contrived and it's not already written in stone. I mean, having parity draws a lot of eyes, and it'll be interesting to watch as this year goes on and finishes out who ends up crowning themselves out of that section.
Well, that being said, sometimes it's hard not to salute the perennials, the kings and queens. We celebrate the dynasties, and we like parity too. It's interesting how sports works that way. Apple Valley looking to answer this Minnetonka run. Madison Reed, 7 off the bench. Eagles don't go deep, but Madison Reed giving them some clutch bench production. Hayden. Traveling violation, could not weave her way through the double team.
This is where if you're Minnetonka, you don't want to fall back into those habits that got you in the hole in the first half. Been on a nice run now. Apple Valley trying to stymie that run.
Parham, a long skip to Myers. Bounce pass to Reed again. Nice backdoor. Madison Reed playing a little decoy there.
A spectacular ball movement from the Eagles. Parham started it off with a good skip pass and 2 consecutive bounce passes to free Parham back up. The saying is, if you give the ball up in basketball and follow the play, the energy of the ball will find you, and came back to her and easy layup.
Here is Hayden through the hole, and she'll shoot 2. Sophie Hayden, 80% free throw shooter, as we noted. Efficient, gives the team extra possessions, and this team as a whole, Leah Dasovich feels is improving constantly, and she plans on sticking around to at least coach her first daughter through Minnetonka. She's now playing JV as a 7th grader.
That's to be interesting to see how that goes.
Well, in the Dasovich family, their crazy schedule was documented a couple of years ago because Leah's husband is the athletic director at Lakeville South, a team that Minnetonka played back in November. And so between coaching kids and the jobs they hold, there isn't a lot of free time, but they don't seem to mind it.
No, I'm pretty sure they're all involved in doing things they love doing. And you got to make those sacrifices for the things that you love, and that includes the kids, jobs.
Well, if it wasn't for coaching in the case of Dasovich, you wouldn't have a state title, wouldn't have had a chance to mentor the likes of Courtney Fredrickson, Lizzie Odegaard, and Megan Walker, who went to Lehigh, graduated a couple years ago, part of the Lehigh pipeline that's funneling Minnesota talent over to Pennsylvania. Foul down low, and free throws coming for Maliomi.
Lehigh school that C.J. McCullum has kind of helped put on the map. He's a big-time guard for Portland Trail Blazers in the NBA. Kind of helped excel their rise when he helped knock off Duke with a huge upset about 6 years ago.
Omi, 50% free throw shooter. Didn't have a whole lot of attempts until tonight. That's going to change. Needed a little more arc, or a little more.
A little more everything. Yeah.
Yes, velocity.
A little more everything there. Yeah.
That never happened to you in high school, right?
No, I don't think I ever airballed a free throw, no.
What was your most embarrassing moment as a player? Timeout on the floor.
Definitely missing a wide open fast break dunk. You get clowned a little bit for that, but yeah, that was probably the most.
You missed a fast break dunk?
Yeah, wide open by myself, just.
You weren't trying anything fancy, were you?
No,
no windmills, no 360s.
I wish that would have made it a little less embarrassing, but like Yeah, regular standard protocol, but just blew it. I mean, yeah, that was, for me, that was kind of the mini low point, but, you got to just keep going.
Well, I'm sure, losses, but, a dunk, I'm sure your teammates gave you a hard time after that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, can you knock this one down? But, well, you have more vertical than I do, so I'll give you that. 38-32 our score. Apple Valley, they only have one timeout left, which is interesting here if they run into trouble. I know they had to call a couple of early ones because Brian Doty didn't like what he saw, but yeah, if this game is still close, you might want to have another one in that back pocket. We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, he has a lot of confidence in his these messages that he's bestowing upon the team in the timeouts, because like you said, if they run into any tight situations here down the stretch where they might get caught on a trap, and it's a tight game and they need a timeout, they won't be able to call too many more. So we'll see how that plays out. Could come back to bite them.
Right, or if they have trouble on the inbound.
Yeah.
Of course, this could all be a moot point. We'll see what happens, but interesting timeout usage on the part of Brian Doty in Apple Valley. Again, he had to burn a couple to get out of a jam, but right, he used two because he didn't like what he saw, even though Apple Valley had made some fine plays on defense.
Yeah, maybe they do what he says in the timeouts. They won't have to worry about that. They'll just the lead will take care of itself.
So the Eagles with just one more timeout left, and we still have 11:47 to go. And making her first appearance for the Skippers is number 30, Elia Durkee. Omi was open, and she gets the bucket anyway. A 4-point game again. Eagles led by as much as 19. Jump ball. Eagles with the arrow. And here comes Desiree Ware going back in for the Skippers. This could be a monumental chance now that you've got the floor general back out there.
And she's been able to create a few plays with her athleticism, getting out of transition and finishing at the basket, putting pressure on Apple Valley defense. As she grabs a nice rebound there, she'll look to push it here and see what makes something happen.
Chance for the Skippers to tighten things up. Greer for three. Missed the mark. Omi, board, off balance, and she'll shoot two.
Minnetonka looks like a completely different team in the second half. The energy level is just going up astronomically. The confidence level is risen. You can see the bench is more engaged. The coaches are more engaged.
Well, it goes back to what you're saying with a young team, getting confidence, and especially in Minnetonka's case, withstanding that first run, that first challenge from your opponent.
Absolutely.
Omi has been a bit shaky from the free throw line, and that's the second time she airballed it.
Yeah, at that point, I mean, you don't want her to get too far gone at that free throw line, because she might have to come back down the stretch here and shoot some big ones. And 2 air balls, that can demoralize you. You start getting in your head and you don't think about your mechanics. You end up trying to tweak things every time every trip to the line.
Something tells me I know what she'll be working on Monday. Chana Young on the other end scores, so Apple Valley trying to hold off Minnetonka to pick up their 10th win of the season, off the heels of a statement victory against Lakeville North. Desiree Ware missing the drive, and then she gets called for the foul. That will be her second.
Skipper's foul on Desiree Ware, her second, team's third.
We were discussing Section 2 in Minnetonka, and Section 3, Rosemount doing better than a year ago, but it looks like they still have a couple hills to climb before they can truly threaten Eastview and Apple Valley. I'm saying that I'll tell you this much: that Section 3 final could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and as we talked about Apple Valley, they'll be looking to right their wrongs of last year and come out with a different result. They get back to their section final. So it's just every game counts for them. They're just trying to continue to oil this machine and get it up to peak performance.
Meanwhile, Sophie Hayden hit with her 4th personal foul. Huge opportunity for the Eagles here. Well, Myers missing the front end. If you're wondering, Apple Valley will face Eastview again on February 8th, and that could say a lot about how a potential 3rd meeting could turn out. Because when you look at the rest of the section, as Myers splits at the line, Hastings just 1 win. Parker Cottage Grove, they lost a lot of talent last year. They're in rebuilding mode. Henry Sibley doesn't have much outside of Tori Nelson. Egan struggling at 3-11. Burnsville and Rosemount, they're decent, but I don't know if they have enough to take on Apple Valley or Eastview. Blake Greer for 3. Bullseye.
Huge shot.
That's just her 2nd triple.
She made 2 big threes in the midst of small runs, so big time shots by her.
It will stay Apple Valley ball. Minnetonka looking for that steal. Blake Greer not the most accurate of 3-point shooters. Just 26% coming in, but she hit a big one there, as you noted, to keep Minnetonka in striking range. Apple Valley almost threw it away. Here's Myers. Out to China Young. Turns on the Jets to the bucket. Young up to 8. Ware. They swing it out. Greer was looking for another 3. Bear with the rejection. Skippers, they'll find Greer again, and nothing doing that time.
And there you go. There's a law of averages, working against her a little bit. She hit a couple threes, and at 26% reared his ugly head, and she missed everything.
It takes a lot of work to become a threat from the perimeter. Sarah Scalia, who I mentioned earlier, 53 pointers, the first woman in the state to do so this season. She's shooting roughly 48%.
Yeah, that's astonishing. And a lot of hours by her probably spent in gyms in the summertime just getting up shots. Repetition is the main ingredient to just becoming a good shooter.
Anna Much converting the mid-range J. Greer not giving up on the perimeter shot. Nothing doing again. Fight for the rebound is won by Parham. And remember, the Eagles only have 1 timeout, and that is where the lack of timeouts can hurt you. They tried to run with it, get called for traveling. So no fault on Parham for the hustle, but that's where having another timeout or 2 could have helped.
Yeah, luckily for Apple Valley, this game isn't tighter, or they got plenty of time left. But yeah, had been a scenario where, say they needed that basketball very, very badly, they'd have been in rough shape there.
Desiree Ware curls her way in. Desiree, again, we saw her do this at Maranatha, so this isn't unprecedented, but she's helping Minnetonka stick around.
Yeah, she's been impressive. Coming in, she's been a spark for them in both halves with her ability to get to the rim and create. She's had a couple nice kickouts to shooters, and her energy level on defense has been good. That's the kind of thing. That's what you need. Unsung heroes and people to step up.
A foul was called on Minnetonka following the scrum. That's on Piper Terry, her 3rd. So Piper with 3, Sophie Hayden with 4, and Minnetonka, they want to work their way back. They've got to avoid foul trouble here. And then a reach-in foul is called on Maliomi. That is the last to give for the Skippers. Well, that's just the first on Molly, but that's going to be problematic for the Skippers, who trail by just 6, but now you're going to put AV at the free throw line the rest of the way.
Yeah, and from Apple Valley, I go right back to Parham in the post, force the action, and make the Skippers play discipline down low.
There's an example. You called it, and Mykel Parham took your cue home.
Hey, that's just smart basketball there. Get back to your workhorse in the down low and put the pressure on the Skipper's defense. You got to commit another foul now. You have Apple Valley going for you in a 1-and-1, and you got the full court at your disposal.
Well, remember, this is a three-point play chance, which Parham capitalizes on. Eagles up by 9. Omi, back out to Ware. Ball poked away by Myers. Doesn't have anyone to pass to. Reed catches up to it to avoid a turnover. And a chance for the Eagles to put this one away, perhaps. Parham kicks back out. Myers wanted the 3. Another sloppy pass. So AV will have to try again. Bear not giving up on those drives and draws the foul. That will be the second on Durkee. Go ahead.
This is where Apple Valley can really put a stranglehold on this game. These fouls mounting up against the Skippers. I mean, their main big is on the bench, and Hayden, they're forced down low, so the paint is just becoming more and more accessible for Apple Valley. They just got to hit the free throws and continue to work the ball around, and they can put a real blow in Minnetonka.
Timeout called by Minnetonka. Bear will have another free throw on the other side of the break. Megan Bear, 3 games with 20 points or more, and when we mentioned this, Apple Valley, they don't have that explosive score compared to some other games that you've been a part of, but that balance can go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, especially the further you move along in the year, things get tougher. I mean, those section games, things can get tight, or, state tournament, and just relying on one person is, I mean, it's always great to have that one explosive offensive weapon, but you want to have complementary pieces just in case that person's off that night. You don't want to feel like you're helpless on offense. So for them to be able to do it with different pieces and rely on their system is kind of probably the best way going forward.
So with 6:49 left, 48-39 our score. Mykel Parham leads with 11 points, Megan Bear with 9. And if you'd like to help out with any upcoming TSB television broadcasts, you can do so on Patreon and PayPal, patreon.com/TSB television or paypal.me/TSB television. We've got a lot of great perks if you sign up to become a sponsor. And if you want to see more of this, that's one way to do it. And especially if you want to hear Erik and his insightful wisdom.
Yeah, come on over and check us out, and we'll keep dropping gems on there and keep the content going for you guys.
Because, admit it, you all want to see Jessica January come back, right? Megan Bear gets the back end. Unofficially, Apple Valley 13 of 17, and Bear up to 10 points. Another balanced attack from the Eagles. Parham with the deflection. She'll win the battle for the ball. Minnetonka, or I should say Apple Valley, with the arrow. Mykel Parham, you see the difference maker she is when she's on the floor. Doesn't score a lot, but the plays down low, the deflections, all those intangibles that don't go on stat sheets.
Yeah, that was a good job by her of not fouling. She had to be a little bit more finesse with that deflection there. She came around and knocked it out, and leads to a basket for Apple Valley on the other end.
Kalina Myers scoring. Some good screen set up by the Eagles, and they have a 12-point lead. This might be the run they were looking for. Minnetonka unable to save it. Here's a chance for the Eagles to drop the dagger. Bear for 3. Off the mark. Sophie Hayden back in there for the Skippers. Try to give Minnetonka one last gasp. As we noted, this will be a team to keep an eye on in future seasons in Section 2 and the Lake Conference. A conference that will get a makeover next year. Buffalo, St. Michael, Albertville joining the mix. A few other changes as well. We talked about this off broadcast the last time we were together. The Tri-Metro adding Richfield next year, so that will change things for both boys and girls hoops.
Let's go Spartans, go in there and just make a dent.
Well, it means they're going to be in the same conference as crosstown rival Holy Angels.
That'll be fun. I used to love those games. We played Holy Angels. I mean, it's literally like a half a mile down the tracks. The crowd was always riled up, packed house. You gotta love playing against the private school down the road there.
Mykel Parham scoring down low for the Eagles on their last possession, but she'll be hit with her 4th foul. But you can live with that perhaps a little more now that you're up by 14 as opposed to a little while ago when it was just a 4-point margin.
Yeah, she can be smart and avoid fouls for these next few minutes here and generate a few more positive plays for her team. They should be able to.
Oh, that was risky.
Yeah, it was. But
got the block on Layden, but if she made contact, that would have been it.
Yeah, a few more plays like that from her, generate a few more stops and a few more baskets, and they should be fine even if she's on the brink of fouling out.
Whoa, a big screen. That sent Piper Terry to the deck, and then a foul is called. If you don't think girls basketball is intense and physical, oh, trust me, they go after it.
Yeah, just for those people who dismiss basketball in general as a contact sport. I mean, it's a lot of contact. You gotta be tough. You gotta be able to play. I mean, this is no walk in the park out here at all.
I'm sure you had your share of floor burns as a player.
Oh yeah, floor burns. You get all type of injuries. Fingers get jammed all the time. I mean,
your buddy Jessica had that broken hand injury at her senior season in DePaul. And I have to imagine when you two went at each other, I'm sure the two of you got a little physical.
Yeah, it can get testy, no doubt.
But you made up afterward, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's no ill will. You just want to compete.
There's some bragging rights involved.
Yeah, definitely.
Parham split at the line. And it's good to know you won the majority of those. So your bona fide reputation.
Keep that at the forefront, just make sure you remember that.
She's going to have some fun. Or she's going to have a word with us when she comes back, isn't she?
No doubt.
So after a discussion, possession has been changed to Minnetonka ball, but they trail by 15 with 4:34 to go. Mykel Parham, a new season high. It's hard to believe she's going to Creighton, and she hasn't scored more than 13 in a game until tonight. Yeah,
and for a lot of people who don't follow the game, casual basketball fans, I mean, who want to just pick up a box score and look at, she's high as 13 points, that could deter a lot of people from giving her respect, but come out here and really pay attention to what she can do and what her impact on the game. You can see why, a Division I program like Creighton want to bring her in and develop her and integrate her into their system and whatnot.
Well, she took the entry pass, drew another foul, so more free throws coming. That's the 4th on Piper Terry, although it's looking more and more like this game is out of reach for Minnetonka. And that's a good point, though, that you made. And a lot of teams aren't as diligent about stats, so you don't see rebounds, assists, blocks. You only see the points in the case of Apple Valley, and I'm sure they keep track of all that, but you can't see it online, so you're right. You might see the score and thinking, why is she going to Creighton?
Right.
Well, we saw it in the White Bear Lake game. She made all 8 of her free throws, and tonight I think she's made all but 1.
Yeah. A thing that won't show up in the box score is her presence. I mean, she's getting the ball now in scoring positions. She's commanding double teams. And she's had a few hockey assists tonight where she'll kick it out to somebody off the double teamer, but the defense will close out on that person, but they'll have the ability to kick it to someone else and they get open look and convert it. So there's just so many things you can do to impact the basketball game other than just scoring the ball.
China Young goes all the way, and Apple Valley can coast to victory here. They're up by 19. And to finish up on Parham, unofficially, I've got her at 8 of 9 from the free throw line. That is going to go a long way. 3 goes down for Sophie Hayden. At the college level, having that 3-point stroke, Well, if she has a three-point stroke, we haven't seen it yet. Maybe she does, but such an accurate shooter from the line, that can go a long way, especially in close games.
That's one of the biggest things for coaches, that they want players on the floor at the end of the games that can knock down free throws. I mean, they want to trust their players to be able to hit free throws in those situations. I mean, like you see in like any level of basketball, if you're a player that's a marginal player or even a good player, if you can't make free throws, a lot of times you see those guys sitting down, guys and girls sitting down at the end of the game because they're a liability to the team.
Right, or the hack-a-shack. And
Yeah,
we've seen,
things like that.
In college NBA, you become, as you said, a liability. Opponents will use that to their advantage. That's why I'm always harping on free throws. I'm not expecting everyone to shoot 90%, but sooner or later, you're going to need it because free throws could decide a game. And if it's not something you work on, it will come back to bite you eventually. Kansas, Memphis is the classic example from 11 years ago. But how many other games have been decided by free throws?
Hundreds and thousands. I mean, every other night, if you look, you can find a way to attribute a team's loss in a close game to a missed free throw here or there. So,
well, you gotta like Sophie Hayden's hustle, even if the game is out of hand. She's still getting after it, gets the steal and the run out. 10 points for her. And this is what you want if you're Dasovic and Minnetonka. You know you may not win every game, but you want to see signs that indicate how high this team can go.
yeah, and for speaking on Sophie, she wasn't able to have the impact in those critical moments, you know, as Apple Valley extended their lead again due to her foul trouble. But I mean, I'm sure she'll be fine going forward. She's been having a nice stretch of basketball here over the last few weeks, and every night is not going to be a night, but she'll be fine going forward.
Megan Bear with the drive and the bucket. With less than 2 minutes to go, looks like Minnetonka is going to pull their starters here and save them up for next time. Bear with 12 points, and she may not be the leading scorer, but she came up with a bevy of clutch plays, especially when it was a 4-point game.
Yeah, I think just her.
And Desiree Ware still getting after it. She's going to be fun to watch over the next several years at Minnetonka.
She'll be huge for them, and pretty sure she'll be an integral part of this program for the next few years. I mean, she'll grow as a player. She's very young. I'm pretty sure she's only 14 or so.
Right, well, she's a freshman.
Yeah,
yep,
so
14, 15. And Leah Dasovic told me they've been looking for that kind of leader on the floor after Hannah Hedstrom graduated, who went to Lehigh. She was part of that first wave of Lehigh recruits.
Yeah, most definitely. Desiree, she has a bright future, and Skipper fans should be encouraged watching her from here on out.
Just over a minute to play. Myers successful in a few drives tonight, but not there. Here come more bench players for the Skippers. Ware for three. She's actually a more accurate three-point shooter than Greer is, and that might be something to keep an eye on too. We know she can run the floor, but perimeter shooting, such a big point of emphasis now in basketball. You can get yourself a three-point shooter, as we've seen with Sarah Scalia or Macy Giebert in Eastview. That can take you a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean, even at the highest levels of basketball, the shift in the culture and the philosophy of the game has just changed so much.
And yet the San Antonio Spurs have found a way to make things work with DeMar DeRozan and his mid-range flair. So
yeah, him and LaMarcus Aldridge, I believe they're both top 5 in mid-range shots attempted per game. But when you got a coach like Greg Popovich, he'll find a way to.
Right.
His system is his players. You know,
right.
He makes sure his players are most.
He works with their strengths.
Yeah. So.
And it's funny we're talking about all this because Kalina Myers knocked down a corner three in the midst of all this. Right, you said, though. You got to find what works for you. And Minnetonka, they'll have plenty of time to do that, but the night belongs to Apple Valley. Season high 16 for Mykel Parham. Bear and Myers with 12 apiece. And Apple Valley picks up their 10th win of the year, their third straight, 63-46 the final. Mykel Parham, what a difference maker tonight.
Yeah, she was all over the place, just commanding the paint on both ends on defense, keeping the Skippers out of the lane, making sure they had to work for buckets. Even though she ran into a little bit of foul trouble, she found a way to correct herself and get a few blocks and deflections big time to help Apple Valley get that lead after they kind of squandered the lead to start the half, but they rode her to get the lead back and finish out the game strong.
We'll try to get a word with Mykel, Parham, and a couple other Apple Valley players. This is high school girls basketball. The Eagles knock off the Skippers 63-46. Joining me are Megan Bear and Mykel Parham. Megan, 12 points tonight, but you led the fast break for Apple Valley and made some big plays when the Skippers cut it to 4. Tell me, how did you hold off a hard-charging Minnetonka team?
Well, I knew that needed to get some baskets and just needed to pick up the team. So by me getting down the court and passing it off to Mykel, I know she'll finish and make the basket for us.
And Mykel, let's talk about your performance, a season-high 16. A lot of folks would read the box score and see that until tonight your highest was 13 points and wonder, why are you going to Creighton? But tonight you demonstrated why you're going D1. So how do you contribute when maybe you don't score the most points all the time?
That has always been my philosophy. Like, I know I'm not the strongest offensive person, and so I know that I can help my teammates out on the defensive end. And so I prove that in the way I rebound, the way I block my shots, boxing out, assist. That's my go-to.
I know you look pretty strong out there tonight on offense.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what Megan was giving me all the dropping to me, I guess.
That helps. And what would you make of this season? I know last year you got to the section finals and held with Eastview for a while. This year, you 10-4. You've played in a lot of close games in the South Suburban. You pick up a big win over Lakeville North. What is different about this year's team?
I've said this before, but I feel like last year we were really trying to figure out who we are as a team with a new coach, and in the beginning of the season more who we are. And I feel like now we know who we are, we know how we play together and what to do. So the next step is just to keep getting better.
Yeah, and we want it for each other as much as we want it for ourselves. And that's the best thing about this team this year.
And I guess, how are you guys feeling, coming off that big win over Lakeville North, another win over Minnetonka? It seems like all that progress is starting to pay dividends.
Yes, I'm feeling pretty good personally. I know that this year we really have a chance at proving people who we are as a team.
I'm feeling good, but I'm also still feeling hungry. Like, I know we're going to get after it, and we're not satisfied. So we're just going to go all the way.
Well, we certainly hope that's the case, at least Apple Valley fans do. And in this game, it was a battle of youth versus experience. And, what is a game against Minnetonka? How does that help you guys moving forward when, all you juniors and seniors have to go up against some pretty scrappy freshmen and sophomores with folks like Desiree Ware and Sophie Hayden?
I would say it just makes us stronger. We were in their shoes and we know how it feels. So it just makes us that much better having experience and calming down and taking control.
Just stay poised, honestly, and lead by example, because I know a couple of those girls, they played for North Tartan, the club that I played for, and over the summer, they'd look up to my post moves, and I'd show them things. I'm like, move your body like this, and so it's just be a role model for them.
So you're a North Tartan. Yeah. That explains everything. Those North Tartan kids, you always got to that's okay. That's right. Well, that's what I was saying. North Tartan, you got to keep an eye out. Anytime you're a North Tartan kid, it means big things, so... well, congrats on the win. Is there anyone you want to say hi to?
Grandma and Grandpa, they're watching right now, so glad you could tune in.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Uncle Rodney.
Well, hi, Mom, Uncle Rodney, and Grandma and Grandpa, and congrats on this win. I know you've got a few games to go, and I know you have big state tournament aspirations. I suppose after seeing the boys do it for so long, you're ready to stake your claim, right?
Yes.
It's our time.
Well, we've got a ways to go before we find that out, but nice work, and it's been a lot of fun covering you guys. We'll see if you can make it into state in March.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Megan Bear and Mykel Parham, that wraps up our coverage here from Apple Valley High School. For Erik Jimson, I'm Mike Peden. Thanks for watching.